Hey everyone, and welcome to the second module in Com 383 during our Spring 2020 remote learning period. In this module, we will be talking about sports public relations. The mini lecture will proceed in 3 short parts. Part 1, or this video, we will be talking about sports public relations in general. We'll be discussing the aims and purposes of sports public relations, as well as reviewing the NCAA Stay in Bounds article that was assigned as part of this module. A couple of the quiz questions do focus on that particular article. The next video, we will talk about crisis communication in sports. And part 3, we will talk about corporate social responsibility. So to get us started in terms of sports PR, aims, goals, and the role of agenda. The goal of any public relations communication is to influence opinion. Sometimes this relates simply to influencing a person's perception or attitude, while other messages may be designed to compel action. Strategies can be implemented proactively, that is, before something happens, or retroactively or reactively, or after a situation has occurred. Sports PR involves community relations, media relations, promotions, marketing communication, commemoration, issue management, and crisis management. So those are 7 different areas that if you were working in sports public relations, you could deal with. So for community relations, this might be your sports information at a university athletics organization dealing with alumni or, the Bears Club, any of those kinds of community relations. And as a note, we are going to come back to sports information in a couple weeks. Media relations, so planning press conferences with a coach or an athlete, or just otherwise being someone that is interviewed in a news article. Promotions, those things that we see at athletics events, promoting particular players, or just promoting the brand of the team or the university or the organization. Marketing, which we will get to in a couple weeks. Commemoration, or honoring and remembering the past. So a lot of athletics events will have forms of commemoration, and that is something that sports public relations officers will do. And the last 2, issue management. So issue management and crisis management may sound very similar, but they're actually kind of different. So an issue is something that is kind of a constant thing that is being debated. So equal pay, or contracts, or unions, or something that is a constant debate that organizations and their PR professionals have to kind of manage. Crisis management is when, something unexpected happens. So out of these things, we're going to be focusing on crisis management in the next video here. And we'll do a little bit of the community relations in this video. And so this image here is just kind of giving you an idea of all of the different things and forms of media that a public relations officer would engage in terms of blogging, social media, the press releases, press conferences, general publicity and promotions, and then obviously communication down here is very broad and encompasses all of these different things. So let's talk about agenda. Everyone involved in sports communication has an agenda. And we've talked about this before when we discussed agenda setting theory in terms of the media. Well, agenda comes back here in terms of public relations. When we get to public relations, we have multiple entities involved. We have the media, we have the athlete or the organization, we have the audience as well. So all of these entities have different goals and different agendas. And as you can see from this chart, which was from chapter 7, each of them has a different agenda, but at the center, everyone's agenda is kind of the truth, right? What is happening? What is the information? You can see how they are similar and also how they diverge. An agenda is a unique set of perspectives, goals, and attitudes that each stakeholder brings to the communication process. So athletes, coaches, or sports organizations, the agenda is the creation of a favorable image. For the media, they are scrambling for audience attention, so they are only concerned about the reputation of an athlete or organization as far as it helps them sell content. And then audiences, since they can create their own content, can also push their own agendas, whatever that may be. Okay. So finally, in this video, we are going to discuss organizational rhetoric. Now, we have not really interacted with the concept of rhetoric yet this term, but rhetoric is a kind of public communication, and it is indeed part of public relations, but it is not only part of public relations. And we're not going to get into that a whole lot, but for this particular article that we read, the authors do use the term rhetoric all throughout the article. So in this article, the authors are looking at the Stay in Bounds campaign that the NCAA ran in terms of how it engages the tension between communitas and corporatas. And so these are two ends of the spectrum, and essentially these are just the Latinized versions of community and corporate, right? So this is the tension between the community good and corporate success. While this article examines the Stay in Bounds campaign, this tension underpins the very identity of the NCAA and its activities throughout Division 1, 2, and 3. The extremes here are child's play or recreation, leisure, which is the communitas, and work or corporatas. And the issue of whether or not student athletes are workers deserving of some sort of compensation beyond their scholarships is an ongoing debate, as many of you already know. The NCAA's organizational rhetoric leans toward the value of communitas to underscore the notion of amateurism, which we are familiar with, yet the profitability of high-profile men's, mostly Division I athletics, as well as the amount of hours athletes dedicate to their sports every single week, pushes back on that communitas claim. Hopefully, after reading this article, you will have another way of framing the debate over student-athlete compensation. As a note, this is something that I did explore in my dissertation at length. If any of you want to read or talk more about that now or some other time in the future, just let me know. So I want to just finally run through this table from the article. And I'm not going to go through every single pair here, but I am going to kind of pull some of these out and give you some examples. So in terms of work as play or play as work. So in the example of basketball, an athlete loves playing their sport. So if they are a professional athlete, they are considering their play to be work. So that would be a corporatas value because they are being paid. Their work is to play basketball, but it is also something that they enjoy. And you can see a few down, we've got enjoyment versus competition. If you are playing, catch in your backyard, that's a lot different than being a part of an MLB team competing in the World Series. We have the love of the game versus the love of victory or winning. We've got self-improvement versus self-advancement, which is similar to that. So wanting to improve just as a person versus wanting to make more money or something like that. So you can see how any of these pairs plays out in any sport. Hero versus star as well. In a community setting where everyone is just playing for fun, there are still heroes. But in a professional or corporatas setting, we've got these athletes who become superstars and who are very famous. A hero is not necessarily famous, but a sports star is certainly famous. So let me know if you have any questions about this particular article. That will do it for part 1, and be on the lookout for the next videos.